Ja tenim a punt la següent ponent, que serà la protagonista d'aquesta sessió 9, amb el títol Flexibilitzar la logística en el transport de mercaderies. Per parlar d'aquesta qüestió, que entri a l'escenari la senyora Doris Hahn, CEO operatiu de ISTmobil GmbH. Endavant. Hi, hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Ok, doncs, quan vulguis.
Okay, so I can start?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Good evening, good afternoon. I'm Doris Hahn. I'm CEO of the company ISTmobil. I hope you understand my English. I'm sorry, I do not speak Spanish. So, today I will talk about on-demand public transport solutions, and I think I will go over there. So, because I'm alone. Okay, wait, how do I? Okay.
The green one.
Thank you very much. Okay, first of all, I want to explain what's ISTmobil. We are a company in Austria. Our founder is Alexander Fellner-Stiasny, and he and we are the CEOs of the company. ISTmobil works in the field of on-demand public transport solutions. So we provide micro-mobility, we call it. So it's the feeder to public transport in rural areas. The company was founded in 2013 in Graz, so we are in the south of Austria located. And today we have about 30 people working there. Our main issue is planning, implementing, and operating public transport solutions in the micro-transit area. So we have developed our own software solution, and we also do the whole operating things in the background. Where is our field? We want to give a solution to the challenges in rural areas. So this means there are some main questions concerning rural areas. How does Anna get to her apprentice position? How are tourists able to travel without cars? And this is a main topic in Austria. Austria is very much countryside. People want to go skiing, want to go walking, they are going to the mountains. But if you go by public transport, you will reach at the railway station, and then it's over. You won't get anywhere without a car. And the other thing is elderly people. We have a lot of elderly people living in rural areas, and they do not have any possibility going anywhere without their own car. And especially elderly people, they do not want to go by car, so they need some solutions how they can get from A to Z. Yeah, and the youngsters, young peoples going to football clubs, music lessons and all this stuff, how do they get from A to B? So in Austria, the topic has become a social issue. Poverty of mobility is especially in rural areas, and especially concerning elderly and young people. So it's also a topic that concerns federal states and communities, and they also support our company. So we do need money from communities and federal states, of course, to provide our solution. About 10% of the whole population in Austria does not have transport stops within 15 minutes walk, so they do not have any public transport solutions beneath where they are home. And self-determined mobility can improve employment opportunities and also the social inclusion, so it's very necessary. Yeah, here I have some facts concerning Austria. Where are our potentials? I think the most important fact is that main cars are only driven about 36 kilometers a day and are parked 23 hours a day. So they are not really used. And second cars or third cars are only driven half an hour a day. So they are really only parking. And 90% of Austria is a territory, is a rural area. So this is where we can provide our solution. Here, this is the initial situation I have talked. It's hardly any access to public transport and the disadvantaged persons. And what's our approach? We think that in rural areas, buses with timetables do not fit. they are not what people want there. Because in rural areas, buses belong to schools. So buses drive in the morning, people can go to school with the buses, and in the afternoon, they can go home from school. But what's in the times between school times? So people who want to go to the doctor, want to do groceries and all this stuff, they do not have any public transport access because the buses with their timetables, they do not fit. And the other problem are the routes. The buses are going very long routes to take off all pupils, but that's not practicable for commuters and all other people who want to go from A to B and who do not want to take all pupils on their way. So we think that there is an alternative to private transport necessary, and this must be an on-demand solution. It must be comfortable, affordable, and simple, so that people really can get easy into the system and use it. And that's what we have done now for 6 years. So we believe we are not public transport, as it is known with buses and trains, but we are also not a taxi. We are a combination of public transport and on-taxi system. So we are affordable because communities pay for the system, but we are on demand. So we do not have timetables and fixed routes. We drive when there is a demand. But we are not a taxi because people cannot go everywhere with us. We take care of the public transport which is existing in the rural area. So if there is a bus line or a train, people have to change the system. We will provide them the information that there is a bus, and people can use our system to go to the bus stop, and afterwards they have to go further with the bus or the train system. And people cannot get everywhere and every time. People have to go to stops, so we do not operate with addresses. We have stops where people can get into the system, and of course, we try to bundle routes. So if there is a trip already booked and another person wants to have a trip, we try to get all people in one vehicle, and we define the pickup time for the customer. So if a person wants to go at 2 p.m. and there is a ride at 2:50 in the system, the other person also has to take 2:50. Yeah, so now I want to show you a video to make it more easier how the system works. So, and where are our systems operated? There are 7 districts nowadays which we are operating ISTmobil in Austria, so mostly or mainly rural areas, but more suburban areas, I would say. We have places above Vienna, so in the northern of Austria, Korneuburg and Gensendorf. We also operate a system around Graz, so surrounding the main city of Styria, and also touristic solutions, that are the yellow ones. It's in Carinthia Nockmobil, so Bad Kleinkirchheim-Milstadt. It's a skiing region, and Ausseerland, it's above Schladming, also a skiing region. Well, the first system was operated since 2015, And the last one, the G, we started with April 2019. So in the meanwhile, I think we have a lot of practical input or practical experience I can talk about. The ISTmobil system design depends on different parameters. There are parameters which are adapted to the regions because every region is different. It's not possible to put the ISTmobil system as a whole from Ausseerland to Korneuburg because there are different target groups, the region is different, and especially there is a dense population or a very low population, or we have lengths very high or very slow. So we adapt the operating hours, the tariff structure, and also how public transport is integrated in the system. Because if there is a good public transport system available, it's very necessary to take a lot of care about the public transport. If there is only public transport available, which is mainly dependent on school systems, we try to ignore some buses because people do not want to use school buses. Fixed components, of course, are our software. That's one software, and our call center and the app. So operating hours can depend on touristic solutions like Narzissentet, then they start very late, 9 AM until 24 PM. Or if it's mainly concerned on commuters or average mobility needs, then we start at 6 PM. It also depends on how many taxi companies are available in the region, because we do not have an own car. We cooperate with regional taxi companies. And the tariff structures are also depending on what is available. We have tariff structures depending on kilometers. So this is around Graz. Depending on how long the ride is and how many people are in the vehicle, people have different fares or rates to pay. Behind the system also lies the idea that we do want a lot of people in one vehicle, and if we bundle rides, people should get an advantage. So if one person has to do this route and another one goes to the vehicle, both pay less. But to integrate public transport more, we also do adapt to the tariff zones of public transport. So if a region wants the same tariff as public transport, as buses or trains have, we also can afford that. So in Korneuburg, for example, we integrated the tariff zones from the buses, and we go with the same tariff as public transport is available. Then it's a matrix in behind. This allows us to integrate public transport systems in different modes. The overlying idea is, of course, the combination with public transport and micromobility, and that we avoid parallel rides where public transport is necessary and affordable. But the other hand is that we also can accept seasonal transport tickets. This means if there's a person who has an annual bus ticket, we can accept the ticket, and the person also can use ISTmobil with it. So here's the example. Our bus ticket is in a validity system, so there are different routes which can be done with the bus if I have an annual ticket, and these routes are also accepted via the ISTmobil system. So if the person goes from Spillern to Korneuburg, this is in the green area, the people only has to pay 2 euros. If it goes from Spillern to Stockerau, this is outside of the green area, the person has to pay the whole fare, and it's 4.30. Yes, changing to public transport is a very difficult area because a lot of people do not want to use the buses. They want to go with the taxi directly. So we have defined criteria when people have to change. Immobile people, people who are not able to walk, they do not have to change. They can go directly everywhere because they also have a home pickup service because they are even not able to go to a stop from ISTmobil. Within a community, there is no change necessary to public transport because when I want to take a ride in a community, I want to do grocery, I want to go to the doctors or to the main place, and I do not want to go from my home site to the bus station and then do 2 stations to get to the main place. So there I can go directly. regional rides across communities, we check if there is public transport available. And we do that with an interface. So we have a connection to public transport systems over whole Austria. So we know every time the actual timetables of the buses and trains. And if there is a question, a booking ride, I want to go from A to B at 2 p.m., we check if there is a bus going at the same direction. And we do that minus 50 minutes and plus 30 minutes after the customer's booking time. So we check a time period if there is public transport available. Yeah. So our software offers a lot of possibilities. Important for us is that everything is included. We have the customer interface where our disponent book the rides. We have administration backend and tablet front end for the drivers. So our drivers all have tablets in the cars. We know at every moment where they are and which rides they have. So we know what we can book on them. In the administration backend, that's very important, we have the customer management. So we know our customers. And if the customer calls us to book a ride, we know his name, his phone number, his stops. And also he can, of course, pay with cashless. Evaluations are very necessary for the public, for the communities and the federal state, because with our data they can check out where is the mobility behavior, where do people go, where do they start, when do they ride. The software engineers are ours, so it's our software, and we do the routing with OpenStreetMap, OSM. That's because it's very easy to handle and to adapt to our needs. Yeah, and that's how it looks like. That's the interface for the call center. So you can see there are the different stops where people can get into the system and where they can go out. The red buttons are the cars which have rides, so which have orders to do. And the blue buttons are the cars which are free to get rides. So our system or our disponent knows at every time where the cars are. He can ensure that the quality is okay because he knows the orders of the clients and he can see if the vehicle is already going there and if the time is, if there is a delay or something like that. And the second thing is that not the disponent decides which vehicle gets the ride, it's the software. So our disponent only puts in from where to where the client wants to go, how many persons and when. And the system calculates the route, how long it will take, and which vehicle is the nearest. So at the moment the disponent has put in A to B, he has all information he can provide to the customer, how long it will take, where the route will go, and how much is the price. And also, if there is public transport available, the same information are available immediately for the customer or for the disponent. He will see which train in this example has to be taken and where the change will have to be and at which time. The same overview is available if I book via app. So it makes no difference if I call the call center or if I book with the app solution. Yeah, and this is the change. How many people or how many persons use the system? This chart shows the data from January until December 2018. So there are only 5 systems operated. Meanwhile, we have 7, so the passenger numbers will grow. You also see the difference between regular mobility solutions and touristic solutions. So the dark blue graph is, of course, a touristic solution. It's the Wine area in the south of Austria, and the season there is from August until November. So we have a peak, of course, then. So we are also able to to operate systems which have seasonal differences. Then we have to do different contracts with the taxi drivers. Yeah. In October 2018, we had a record of passenger numbers. We transported about 14,000 people. This year, we expect 20,000 people per month. We are a bit sorry, but the most people book via telephone. So for especially elderly people need the telephone because they want to talk with someone and they want to be sure that the drive will really function and everything is okay. So between 12 and 15% book via app solution. Of course, we want to grow this number. Yeah, and change to public transport. This is very important for us because it's a main issue of our whole system. And we can provide between 33 and 41% of each ride to public transport. Yeah, and how is the system financed? The costs depend, of course, on the system design. Longer operating hours and the system will be more expensive. Also, the lengths of the trips is important because you need more taxis if it's a very dense and rural area. And the population size is important for the costs. At the moment, the costs are covered by passengers. If it's a regular system, talking about commuters, elderly people, the fare takes about 20%. If it's a touristic system, the customers take 80%, because then we have more passengers in the cars and we can have higher fares for the touristic solutions. Yeah, and the rest is done by the communities and federal states in Austria. At the moment, we are planning or implementing our first system in Germany, in Bayern. And yeah, we are very excited how this will work. I hope I was able to explain our system in English, because my mother language is German. I tried. And yeah, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.